this is the coolest thing I've ever been to. And I have been to another play conference. There's more than one, and this is the coolest one. I'm really, 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 really thankful to Stephanie and her team for bringing me here, because this is my absolute favorite thing to talk about in the whole wide world. So much so that I made up a job. That's what I do. This is all I do. Is talk about play every day. And I just love it so much. You guys have been so attentive and well-seated, and I have not been. I have been in the back corner, half doing jumping jacks. So I want to make sure that you all feel comfortable. Doodle, sketch, whatever. Just make yourself comfortable. Do what you need to do. I'm also going to be asking us to participate in a couple of things. And I'm going to do some neurodivergent-affirming actions throughout this session. So I will be inviting you. Participation is completely voluntary. You are totally welcome to just observe. So this is what you can expect from today's experience. We're going to have a discussion of the neuroscience of flow and play. We're going to explore essential skills and qualities that flow and play can enhance in your life and work. And we're going to discover practical strategies and tips to get into flow and foster a playful mindset, life, and culture. Yes, I read every word on that screen. That's another neurodivergent affirming action in presentations, because honestly, neurodivergent or not, you're not listening and reading at the same time. So if I have a lot of words on the screen, which I do sometimes, I will be reading them, and that's on purpose. For you, because I care about you. And for me, actually. So first, let's play. So take a piece of paper, get a fresh one, and get one that you don't mind messing up. Don't do it on top of your notes, maybe, if your notes are important to you, okay? And in a moment, I'm gonna do a 3, 2, 1, go, so wait for that. Because I'm gonna ask you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable, just because that's easier. And if you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, which I would personally not, and this space has nothing to do with anyone, I'm just weird, look away, just look up at the ceiling instead. And we're just gonna scribble. No music this time. Can be curvy, can be angular, however you want. Whatever, right? Just scribble. So look away from your paper or close your eyes. 3, 2, 1, scribble. Stop. Okay. Everyone, you guys looked real fast back at your scribbles. But you should, that's good. Now, as we were instructed this morning, turn it all around, and you have a little less to work with, but that's okay. Find a place for an eye, a beak, and 2 little feet. And you do not have to make it a bird. Thank you for asking that. I did this activity with a group one time, and I saw just real sheer frustration on one person's face. And I waited, and they went, "This isn't a bird." And I was like, "Oh, okay, it doesn't have to be, it's a fish." And they added fins and little pucker lips, which was really cute. So it can definitely be whatever you want it to be. Birds tend to be the easiest to toss a little beak or an eye on. How do we feel about our birds? Did somebody just go, "Aw," at their own bird? Yes. Then you need to name your bird. If your bird makes you go, "Aw," and if your bird makes you want to get a tattoo on your forearm of the one that you did the first time ever, I'm obsessed with this activity because it's pretty great. And we're going to learn about why this silly little bird activity is super great. An optimal state of consciousness where we feel our best and perform our best. Yes, please. That's what I want. This definition is from Steven Kotler. He's a journalist turned researcher. He started his journalism career writing about X Game athletes back in the 80s when it kind of first started. And he was like, hold on. How can these 30-year-old athletes all of a sudden do these amazing flips? And if anybody has tracked this over time, people used to be able to do this on skis, right? That was it. And now they can do 10 400s, I don't know. It's insane what they can do. So Steven Kotler started studying this and realized that it was because of the flow state that these athletes are able to do these amazing, amazing things. The most fun name in the world to say is a psychologist who is the father of flow. He discovered flow, he studied it most comprehensively, has written, the book is called Flow. If you start to search it, you might see things that say 4 traits, 6 traits, 10 traits, but I pull 8 straight from his work. When we are in flow, we are actively engaged, as long as we are engaged with the activity. It has to be skill balanced. Whatever it is that we're doing in the flow, We're not too good at it, but we're pretty good at it. But it's definitely not too easy. It can't be too easy. It's just the right amount of challenge. When we're in flow, it actually means something to us, like connected to who we are at our core. So intrinsic versus extrinsic is not just internal versus external. Someone told you to do it, you want to do it. It means something, like to you at your being. So it's intrinsically rewarding. We experience a lack of self-consciousness when we are in flow. We're not worried about who else might be doing it a different way, or what someone else might think of how we're doing it, or how we're doing. We have clear goals when we're in flow for whatever is happening. We have clear goals. We know what the outcome is that's tied to the skill balance, right? We know what we're doing. We know how to do it. And we feel in control during this situation. We have a feeling of ultimate control over the activity. And then the coolest part is that we experience a distortion of the sense of time. So this is that, a lot of people call it in the zone, right? Heads down work, game face is on. We're working. We look up, have a sip of coffee. That's ice cold. It's been 2 hours. I had no idea. There's a neurochemical reason for that. And it's the coolest thing I've ever learned. It is the ultimate mindfulness. We are so present. It's just this. Flow is fantastic. And it moves even past, it goes deeper than just us feeling good and doing good and kicking ass. When we're in flow, we can be 5 times as productive. That's cool. That's kind of a lot, right? We can learn 230% faster from novice to skill mastery. 230%. 500% more effective when we're in flow. That's not a typo. My 0 key didn't get stuck. It's supposed to say 500. 500% more effective at whatever the task is that we're doing if we're in flow when we're doing it. And we can be 400 to 700% more creative. There's also some personal benefits, like increased happiness. I mean, that's not too shabby. Maybe some joy, improved motivation, and even better relationships. Hustle bros, wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning for your cold plunge before your algae smoothie. Guys have kind of like co-opted it as like a life hack. So get into flow, and you only have to work 45 minutes a week and then go to Cancun or something. I don't know. And I believe that the reason is because they're only talking about the flow state, which is only the 3rd stage of the flow cycle. There's 4 stages to the flow cycle. I've been talking at y'all for way too long. So put your pen down if you want. And y'all been working hard. Way harder than me. We're going to play a little bit. We're going to channel our inner Dolly. I've never met Dolly Parton. I'm going to manifest it, though. Look at us. Aren't we cute together? So if you would like to participate with us, it's just hands up in the air to start. This is why I use Dolly, because I have a microphone in my hand. So do Dolly's hands. Peace sign on one hand. Let's try that again, everybody. Peace sign on one hand. That's how you say words. Okay sign on the other. I am going to put this down aside. You guys are so good. Done. Just kidding. Now, switch. I highly recommend that you only look at your own hands, because in a minute somebody's going to flip the bird. It's just me. My fingers don't work. Okay, they do work. Look at them work.
I can't forget it.
So another activity that took 10 seconds, maybe, just like your scribble bird. 10 seconds. And what we just did is completely re-energize our brains. But hey, that flow cycle I mentioned. 4 stages. Flow is the 3rd stage, but we cannot forget about these 3 other stages. First stage is struggle. These are very aptly named. This is a scientific concept. It was discovered by Herbert Benson. He's a cardiologist. He founded the Mind-Body Institute at Mass Gen. Pretty impressive. Dr. Dude came up with all of this, but I love his names because yes, stage 1, struggle, because you know what? You struggle in it. It's difficult. It might be boring. It might be redundant. It might be repetitive. Our brain gives us cortisol and adrenaline. Now, some of you are going, no, thank you. I don't want that cortisol. That's the stress hormone. But cortisol, at its very core purpose of being in our bodies, is motivation. And adrenaline is a redirection of our body's energy. So when you're in this phase, and as we start to understand the whole cycle, and you know when you're in the struggle phase, you can go, okay, yes, this is hard, but I know what's happening and I'm gonna get through this. Then we move into release. Phase 2. I'm calling it phage from now on. That's what's happening. Phase 2 is release. Our super cool, smart, efficient brain releases, again, with these stage names, they're great, releases nitric oxide. And that nitric oxide serves to release, flush out the cortisol and the adrenaline from our brains and bodies. And during this phase, we need to release ourselves from whatever it was that we were doing in the struggle activity. Walk away. Release yourself from what's happening, and your brain, nitric oxide, cortisol, adrenaline gone. And then get real excited, everybody. It's the star of the show. It's the flow state, and the coolest thing that I've ever learned about the brain, potentially science or humans or anything ever, transient hypofrontality. First of all, you just sound real fancy when you say it. Do you want to say it together? Transient hypofrontality. So transient meaning temporary, hypo meaning lower, frontality referring to our prefrontal cortex. You guys are all smart. Most of you know what our prefrontal cortex does. But as a little refresher, it's like the CEO of ourselves. And that lack of self-consciousness is because the CEO and the bad HR manager are on vacation. This is when we get not huge, but some pretty significant doses of dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, norepinephrine, anandamide. BDNF is brain-derived neurotropic factors. Some of these you know of as feel-good hormones. So we talked about how when we're in flow, it needs to be actively engaging. That doesn't need to be physical. It could be mentally or cognitively engaging. But the neurochemicals still do the same thing. And then all of that together, the transient hypofrontality and all of the neurochemicals together bring us to the peak experience. Optimal state of consciousness. Creativity is off the chain. Productivity through the roof. Joy, excellence, skill. But we're only on the 3rd stage, right? There's the 4th one. You guys can finish this sentence. What goes up? Our brain does. You're essentially high when you're in flow. It's awesome, and it's natural and legal, you know. It's great, we won't go to jail for it. But we are high, we can't stay there. We have to come back down. 4th phase of flow is recovery. We don't do this. Our world does not allow for this. Especially not after a bout of flow when we have just crushed something. Prefrontal cortex, it's not in hypo state anymore. CEO's back, bad HR's manager is back. Which you just wasted 2 hours. I can't believe, that's the work you're gonna turn in? Your dopamine is down, your serotonin is down, you do not feel good. Even if your work was remotely physical, any sort of activity, but even if it wasn't, you're tired. Your body, we had adrenaline move through us in the struggle phase. We are potentially physically, mentally, emotionally exhausted. We try to jump back up there, but we've not replenished ourselves at all. And then we're burnt out. And it's no shock because we're not letting ourselves rest and we're not letting ourselves play. So in a few moments, we're going to talk about exactly how to put I'm making up all kinds of words today. Exactly how to put play into each stage of the flow cycle. But first we have to talk about what play is. All of that research that's out there about play for adults, these are the overlapping traits. Personal, joyful, beneficial, optional, seemingly purposeless, actively engaging, intrinsically motivating, iterative, maybe socially interactive, if you want it to be. Lots of really good solitary play. Do any of these look familiar? There's some overlap with flow here, right? These are the neurochemicals that we get. We've seen this list before. They're the same neurochemicals we get in flow. Not in the same amounts. And when we're playing and not in flow, we don't have that transient hypofrontality. So that's our difference there. What goes in that blank for you? That is the play that meets these characteristics. So that's my challenge to you. You don't have to do it right now, but eventually find one thing, 3 things, 12 things that you can do. Renee Proyer, same scientist, defines the word playful as the ability to reframe a situation to be interesting, entertaining, or stimulating. There's no period on this, but that's the end of it. We're not going to the next slide where it's going to say fun. Fun's not in the definition of playful. Playful is just about making something interesting, entertaining, or stimulating. Any situation. Waiting at the vet's office, sitting around. Who has pets? Shout out what kind you have. Did anyone say ferret? Okay, so you're sitting across from somebody with 4 ferrets. Make up a story. How did they choose ferrets? Be nice, be kind. But there has to be a story behind why you would choose a ferret, right? But yeah, it's just a mindset shift, okay? So we can make literally anything playful. My disclaimer here is that there are some hard things in life. You don't have to make grief playful if you don't want to. You don't have to make every day playful, just when you feel up for it. But there are parts of life where the world is literally on fire. There are parts of life that are hard and difficult and not exciting, entertaining, stimulating, or interesting, and that's okay. But when you're in a situation where you can, it can be this simple. But when we add this playfulness to our life, when we take that reframe, when we find something full on that we can do, we're gonna add aerial silks to our schedule, yes, do that. This is what we get to move through. We used to feel like this, we're gonna feel like this, right? You can try to make struggle playful, but don't try too hard, because it's probably not gonna work. Right? It's just a struggle. But know that you have the cortisol and adrenaline to get you through. Okay? Just know that it's there. Release. Actively get up and play. Do something else. If you have the time to go for a walk, do it. That's fine. Who's had the experience of, I had the best idea on my walk or in the shower? Waterproof Post-it notes exist. This is because you were in the release phase. And it just started to flow. So add whatever play that you want it to be. It can be a crossword puzzle. It can be a 3-minute dance. I have a card deck that's like a toolkit sort of ideas of things that you can do that take 30 seconds to 3 minutes in the moment. And you could just turn around from your desk. You don't even have to leave the room, but do something else. Low stakes play. That should be your release phase. Flow, don't worry about it. Flow is play. When we're flowing, we're playing. Because it's the exact same neurochemicals. It's happening. You don't have to worry about that one. But in recovery, this is where you have to be intentional. Start to get an idea of when you get into flow. Schedule the rest. I get into flow often when I'm public speaking. I love doing this. And it's usually why I lose track of time. Shocking. But when I first started doing this, I loved it so much. I was like, yes, let's do it, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And I was like, wow, I'm real tired, more tired than ever. And that was before I knew this cycle, before I had started studying Benson and Kotlers and Csikszentmihalyi's work. And I read that study and I was like, oh, I just needed a nap, right? Just take a nap. Schedule it in. Tell people that you're neurochemically designed to function that way. Don't let anybody make you feel bad about taking a nap, okay? And then play, because we get the same neurochemicals, remember? So that's gonna boost our mood just a little bit. We're not gonna go back to peak experience, but we're gonna feel good again. We're gonna feel a little better. Our energy will be boosted again. Those neurochemicals are doing their job to bring us back up, at least like to baseline, right? So when we play, it's not just fun and games. It can be. Play can be fun. A lot of people really struggle with that word. I do. It's not always games. It doesn't have to be rule-driven. It can just be that playfulness. Because it's about. Not necessarily finding an activity or a thing or a hobby. We're talking about the word hobby. It's just about connecting with yourself, maybe with others. But when we put it into the phages of flow, we're connecting with the work that we're meant to do. We are able to take the work that's in front of us. We can make it meaningful because we've made it interesting. We've made it stimulating and entertaining, and that is play. So it's my firm belief that as more of us pay attention to the recovery phase, take this in, start to normalize that, make it part of our schedule, and that starts to ripple out, and we all start to play with ourselves, with each other, across borders, across barriers. I literally believe that play will change the world. But we can start with ourselves.